Hey y'all, it's Ladette. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video we are going to talk about why I decided to get sober, why I decided to put alcohol behind me, and ultimately just choose myself. And so I'm going to just get straight into it. I'm pretty much just going to talk about like my journey with alcohol and then share the actual specific reasons on why I decided to get sober. So there's going to be kind of those two parts to this video. So starting with my journey, I started drinking when I was in like middle school. I never really cared for alcohol until I got to that age, until I was like, I want to say like 11 years old. I started seeing, some of my friends kind of play around and explore with it, where they would like sneak liquor from like their parents' liquor cabinet, and we would go to the park and we would drink and just kind of experiment with it in that way. It always felt really innocent at that age. It would just be me and my group of friends just kind of being kids, just messing around, obviously just seeing what our parents were doing and just being curious. And so at that age, it didn't really seem terrible, because the way that I conceptualized it was, well, my parents drink here and there, like they drink sometimes at family parties, they drink, in the evening when they get off of work. Like my mom and my dad both were very responsible drinkers growing up. And so because I saw that they had like a pretty normal relationship with it, or what seemed normal, I never felt like it was that bad if me and my friends, stole some of their liquor and drank at the park. It just didn't seem like it was that big of a deal. And then going into middle school, it was more of a thing, right? Where like me and my group of friends had access to people who would get us bottles. We had access to people who could, get alcohol for us, and we would drink a lot more regularly. So when it was like, and when I say middle school, because I know I'm still kind of talking about that same age, it was the earlier ages of middle school, when I was like 11, when I was kind of here and there, just experimenting with alcohol. And then it was like 8th grade, like towards the end of middle school, where me and my friends were getting that access, where like it was no longer us stealing liquor from our parents' cabinets. Like we straight up had access to people who could get us bottles where we could like drink more, And even then it wasn't weird. I never thought it was weird. It felt normal. It felt fun. It felt like we were being, a little bit devious, but no biggie, right? Like everyone else is doing it. This is just kind of the thing that we're all doing to have fun and, I don't know, experiment with life, right? And so going into high school is when it started to get a little bit more intense, but still at that age, I didn't think it was a problem. How I conceptualized everything was, everyone else is drinking, so I'm just gonna do what everyone is doing. And a big part of that was to fit in, but a big part of it was also because I was personally curious about alcohol. I was personally interested in drinking, and I wanted to see how it would make me feel. I wanted to see, how I felt around other people, if it made me feel more confident, and it did. Like I was definitely someone who was very insecure, not confident in myself. I mean, I think that it's in a way normal. Like as a middle schooler, you're still learning about who you are. There's always those people who are naturally confident in themselves, but like me as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, like I was not feeling myself, and I felt like drinking, I started to notice, especially going to high school, I noticed that it was making me more confident, and it was making me more comfortable being myself around others, even though I technically wasn't being myself when I was drinking. So yeah, going into high school, I definitely, started to drink more. There were parties, there things of that nature, right, where alcohol just happened to be in more places than it ever was before. People bringing it to school, drinking in the bathroom, like just little devious things like that me and my friends were doing. And what's crazy is I never really thought it was a problem at that age. There was a moment where, as like a high schooler, I did have this moment where I was like, is this normal? Like this doesn't feel good. But it was just this one particular moment in time where it was 8th grade summer going into 9th grade, where one of my friends threw a party, and that was the first time I had ever experienced like blacking out. And my apologies if I kind of go a little bit back and forth between middle school and high school. That's just kind of where a lot was happening. But I had a friend throw this party, got blackout wasted, had to go to the hospital. I didn't have alcohol poisoning, but I don't remember, they gave me like these 3 different pills that I had to take to sober up, because I couldn't walk. My body completely shut down. I like remember getting to my parents' house and then I couldn't even walk through the front door. Like I just fell on the floor. I peed in my pants. Like it was just super embarrassing and not okay. And I felt awful that my parents had to see me that way. My dad is the one who took me to the hospital, and I just remember him carrying me into the hospital, and he was like, my drunk daughter. Just like he was just so baffled the way he said it. Like he couldn't believe that like his 14-year-old daughter was this blackout drunk, like wasted. I could not walk, I couldn't talk, I was there slurring my words, and I peed my pants, like I said. Like he was just so baffled. And so I remember that. And then the next day I just remember feeling bad. Like I remember feeling like, you know, confused, like how did I get so drunk? Like how did this happen? How did I let myself kind of get to this point? Like I remember feeling so sick, not feeling good about myself. And obviously, you know, my parents felt like I got my punishment from being as sick as I was. I couldn't do anything that day. But of course, you know, we had the conversation, but it never really, I think that they figured that I learned my lesson. And in a way I did, because for a while I didn't let myself drink, and for a while I didn't let myself get drunk. But I mean, alcohol still progressed in my life. I mean, within a year I was out drinking again. That was going into my freshman year. My freshman year I didn't really do anything. I was technically like grounded that year. I mean, my parents still let me do things, but like I always had to go back home, so I didn't really have as much freedom as I did. And so yeah, that first year of high school for me was it was different, because I noticed that that's when a lot of people were like starting to drink, or they were drinking more than they were. And yeah, I mean, I feel like this sounds bad, because like in middle school, my group of friends, we were already starting to mess around with drinking, especially 8th grade year. But like going into high school, yeah, like people were really like, they were going crazy at the school that I went to. And I remember in a way feeling glad that I didn't participate with that first year of high school, because I just felt some type of way about it. But then at the same time, I felt like I was missing out, if that makes sense. And so yeah, down the road towards the end of my freshman year, my parents, you know, started giving me freedom again. And then I had a friend at that time in high school where I got really close with her, and she had a family member that was like always buying us bottles. And so me hanging out with her and me starting to have that freedom again, my parents starting to trust me again, I went crazy, because I was like, it had been a year of me kind of taking a break. But yeah, as soon as like they gave me trust again, I mean, I just went crazy. Like I was drinking with this girl all the time, I was drinking with other people all the time, and it didn't feel bad. It didn't feel like it was this bad thing. But I just remember that I feel like I just never really dealt with how I felt in regards to that night that I got blackout drunk, because I knew that it wasn't right. I knew that it didn't make me feel good. I knew that it just wasn't something I ever wanted to do again. But I feel like because I just saw everyone else having like normal relationships with alcohol, that I was like, well, I can have a normal relationship with that. I just need to make sure that I pace myself. And so yeah, like as the years anyway, they progress. I'm going into my sophomore year, I go into my junior year, I have a car now I'm mobile. I don't even gotta ask people for rides to the party. Like I can just take myself to the party, take myself back home, no one has to know a thing. And yeah, I mean, it's just the same thing, like typical high school thing, right? Like you're drinking on the weekend, not making responsible decisions. Like I would drive, you know, pretty drunk, I'm not gonna lie. Like, and it doesn't matter if, you know, I was ever like I can sit here and say like I wasn't totally like messed up. It doesn't matter, because the matter of the fact is that I drank, and there were times where I was drunk. And it doesn't matter how you like quantify how drunk you were. Like if you're drinking and you're driving, you're putting yourself and others at risk. And so at that time, I still didn't think that what I was doing was bad. I thought that what I was doing was normal, because everybody else was doing it. And I think part of the issue is, and as I see it now as a person who is sober and is just, you know, older and has learned through these experiences, the feeling and the need that I had to fit in, outweighed anything else for me. Like, I wanted to fit in so badly. I wanted to, have friends. I wanted to be liked by other people, that it didn't matter to me if I was doing something that deep down I knew I probably shouldn't do. It didn't matter, because I cared about fitting in, and I just wanted to have friends, and I wanted to have fun. And I thought that drinking was just the normal thing to do. I thought drinking was what every high schooler does. Like, this is what grown-ups do. Like, this is what it's going to be like when, I graduate high school and I'm an adult, and one day, like, when I'm in a relationship, this is how I'm going to be bonding with my guy. We're going to go out, we're going to go bar hopping. Like, I just thought that it was okay, and it never really was. But I thought that it was, what I was doing was okay. And so I get into my senior year. Senior year felt good. Like, senior year, honestly, that was probably the best year that I had in terms of like authentic friendships that I had in that year, having fun, just, enjoying life, experiencing life. Final year of high school, like, everyone's about to move on. And I felt like I really embraced the moment for what it was during my senior year. Yes, on the weekends, I was going out, I was drinking, I was partying, but I had it together my senior year. I had like all my classes, passing A's. I was very responsible. Like, I pretty much had it together. And then when I graduated, going into my first year of college, that was a really interesting period of time for me, because I stopped drinking. And it wasn't that I felt like I had a bad relationship with drinking. It wasn't that I one day just got super hungover, or I got super drunk and then was hungover. It wasn't anything bad that happened. I just gravitated to moving away from alcohol at that point in time. I kind of felt like, okay, I'm graduating high school. It's time to close this chapter. I'm ready to embrace a new me. I'm ready and excited for what life has to offer me and what's going to come next. And this was a point in time where I was really getting into my spiritual journey. I started getting into meditation. I was learning about the law of attraction, doing things like yoga, going to the gym, working out, cooking more healthy meals. Like, I was just really starting to tap into who I really am. I was just tapping into it. I was just getting a little taste for it, feeling really good about myself, feeling really good with who I was and where I was in my life at that time, and just honestly really happy. Like, there was nothing wrong in my life at that time. And as I progressed in my first year of college, I ended up meeting someone, and I ended up being in a relationship. And seeing it now, and I've seen this for a while, that relationship needed to happen. It was a part of my journey. But in the moment, it changed who I was. I lost myself in every single way possible. I gained weight. I started drinking with this person. It was the way that we bonded. And in no way am I blaming my drinking on this person at all. I always made the decision, and a lot of times I was one that even suggested drinking, but it was because I felt like that was the only way me and that person really ever bonded. Like, when we would drink, we would like get loose. I just felt like we were more comfortable with each other. We would have more conversations. It wasn't boring when we drank together. And I was with this person for 3 years. So mind you, for 3 years, the main thing that I did with this person when we hung out was drink. And there was a period in time when we both were 21. It was towards like the last year of our relationship, where we no longer had to ask people to, because we were more than half of our relationship, we were having to ask, people to get bottles for us. We couldn't get bottles ourselves. So when we both turned 21, it was like, oh, bet, like, we can go to the bars together, we can go to the club together, we can go out together. And that's what we did. I mean, it started like every Friday where we would go out, and then it was like every Friday, Saturday, and then it was every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I noticed myself just putting on the weight, like, because I'm sure, I think, I don't know, maybe it's not obvious for some people, but like, when you drink, your body prioritizes getting rid of the alcohol over like everything else. So like, you could be drinking, right? And then the next day hit the gym. That is going to be, basically your body is going to prioritize using that energy to get rid of the alcohol rather than actually burn the fat. And so when you drink, pretty much whatever you're eating, like, all that's getting stored as fat. And so for me, like, I gained weight. I mean, I put on weight. And mind you, before me and this guy both were 21, I had actually lost weight in the beginning of our relationship, because I was going to the gym with him. Like, I was feeling really good. And I still wasn't really drinking in the beginning of our relationship. So I had actually lost 30 pounds. And then I gained like 35 in the span of our relationship. And so I wasn't feeling good about myself. And I remember this is when when I finally started to see that I didn't really like alcohol was when I was with this person. Up until then, even when, you know, yeah, like I had that time where I blacked out when I was in 8th grade going into 9th grade. And for a second, I was like, this doesn't feel good. Like, I don't think I'm supposed to be getting that drunk. Brushed it on the rug, forgot about it, right? That entire time though, between like 8th grade to when I was with this person when I was 19 years old, I had not questioned my drinking. I had not felt like anything was wrong with my drinking. I thought that what I was doing was, for the most part, pretty normal. Like, obviously the hangovers and the blackouts never felt good, but I didn't question my relationship with alcohol. But when I started to gain weight, when I was with this guy, I remember feeling like, is it the alcohol? Like, I can just remember us drinking beers and me looking at the can in my hand and just being like, is this the reason why I'm not feeling good about myself right now? Like, is this the reason why I'm gaining weight? Like, I put in all this effort to take care of my body to get to a place where I felt good about my body, and then I gained it all back. Is it because I'm drinking like all the time? And I knew I had that. I put 2 and 2 together, that it was like, okay, when I drink, I don't really make good decisions. I don't really like to go to the gym when I drink, even days after, right? I don't like cooking after I drink. I don't have energy after I drink. So I started to like put these pieces together, and it started to make sense, but I still didn't think that I needed to stop drinking. It was more of like the awareness started to happen. I started having that awareness of like, damn, I don't know if I like this. I don't know if this feels right, you know? But I didn't do anything. In that place and time, I didn't do anything. I started noticing it, but I didn't feel like I needed to stop. And so I continued to put on weight, and I really struggled. And honestly, I recently just told someone this, and she's the only person that has known this ever. I have not spoken about it at all, and I am going to share it on this channel in this video. But I got to a point where I hated my body so much, and maybe I'll do another video about it, but I got to a point where I disliked and hated my body so much because of the weight gain that I went and I did CoolSculpting, where they like freeze the fat cells on your stomach. And yeah, I was just like so mad at myself, because I knew that I put on the weight because of the drinking, and then the food that I ate as a result of it, and the many gym days that I missed as a result of it. And I just wanted to get rid of it. I just was like, I hate my body. I'm over it. Like, maybe I can erase all the damage I've done with drinking and not giving a shit about my body if I do CoolSculpting, which honestly didn't really even do anything for me, you know? And so you can imagine the disappointment that was added as a result of that. So yeah, I'm in this relationship. Eventually, you know, time progresses. Me and this guy break up, and I am, you know, I'm hurt, and I'm very much in my masculine at that point in time. I'm over here like telling all my friends, let's go out on the weekend, let's go party, like I'm gonna drink, like I'm gonna turn up, I don't even care, I'm gonna be feeling so good, I'm gonna have all these drinks. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I mean, I drank, this was the summer of 2018, and I drank that entire summer. And I just like, this is when I started to notice that I was in a conflicting place, because I knew that I cared about caring for my body. Like, I knew that I wanted to take care of my body. I liked being in the gym. I liked eating healthy. But at the same time, I was over here drinking, and I was over here eating whatever I wanted. And on top of that, very stressed. I was very stressed because I was in my final semester of my undergrad, which I went into teaching. So not only was I like working part-time at my main job, I was also doing a 40-hour-a-week unpaid internship. So I was over 70 hours a week, you know? And so that was a really dark 4 months of my life. I felt like the only way I could cope with the breakup and with also what I was going through with trying to finish my bachelor's degree was to drink. And it got to a point for the first time in my life where I was drinking every day. And I knew it was a problem, but I had convinced myself like, well, I'm just drinking because, you know, I got out of a relationship, and this is the way that people cope. This is how I've seen people cope on TV. It's how I've seen my friends cope. Like, this is how people cope when they're sad. This is how people cope when they're mad. So this is how I'm gonna cope. You know, I'm gonna have fun. I'm not gonna deal with my feelings right now. I'm gonna drink with my friends. I'm gonna drink after I get home, you know, from my internship, from, you know, my part-time job. And that's what I did. Like, every day I was drinking. And, you know, I think I tried to convince myself that it wasn't that bad, even though I knew deep down, because usually it would be like 3 or 4 drinks a day, which I'm not going to sit here and make that sound like it's not a lot. It is a lot, especially when you're doing that every day. But yeah, I was at a point where, you know, I had to drink to cope with my circumstance and my feelings and my emotions. And I just told myself that, like, okay, well, and this was 2018 again. So I told myself that by the end of 2018, when I'm done with school, when I'm graduated, that I will stop drinking. I was like, simple, I'm just gonna drink for now. And by the end of the year, I'll have forgotten about that guy. I'll have graduated, and alcohol will not need to be a factor in my life. I can just drink when I feel like drinking, but I won't need to drink to deal with my problems. And that was the furthest thing from the truth. That is not the reality that I experienced, as I'm sure you can imagine if you're someone who's maybe struggled with alcohol, or even just hearing how this story has have been progressing over time. When I graduated, it was like 2-3 months later. It was getting close to springtime, and I was still drinking every day. And I remember one day, so now we're in 2019. I remember one day just sitting there being like, I am still drinking. Like, why am I still drinking? I thought that I said that I was gonna stop when I graduated, and I haven't. And this kind of feels like it's becoming a problem that I should be worried about. Like, this is concerning, you know? And so that is when 2019 is when I can say that I officially knew that I had a problem, because I recognized that I was no longer drinking just because I was trying to deal with stress or sadness from my breakup, but because I was forming like an addiction. And it was becoming a habit. It was becoming a daily habit. So yeah, 2019 was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't really talking about what I was going through. I kept it to myself. I just would tell myself, I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'll start getting help. I'll seek out a therapist. Like, I'll let my friends and family know. And I did it. I kept it a secret for like a year. Before I really started talking about it, I pretty much suffered in silence. And one thing that I want to say really quickly is that you don't have to. You don't have to suffer in silence. That is one of the hardest things that you can do to yourself, is suffer in silence. It's very isolating, very lonely, and it's probably the worst feeling that I've ever experienced. So I ended up hitting my rock bottom like a year later. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I would have ups and downs, you know, like I didn't drink every day in 2019. Like, there'd be those ups and downs where, you know, I'd go weeks without it, and then I would binge over a weekend, and then I'd go a couple days without it, and then I would binge for a week. Like, it was just this on and off journey, and I tried everything. I tried just drinking on the weekend. I tried just drinking, you know, on special occasions, on holidays. Like, literally nothing worked. And I remember, oh my God, when you hit your rock bottom, it's pretty dark. Like, it gets pretty dark. And I just remember sitting there like, I am stuck and I deserve better. Like, I know I deserve better. I love myself enough to do whatever it takes, whatever it's going to take for me to not be in this situation, because where I'm at right now fucking sucks. Like, I would sit there and look at myself in the mirror. I saw the weight gain. I mean, I was the heaviest I had ever been. And what I saw in the mirror broke me. For a while, I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror. I actually avoided looking at myself. Anytime I would get ready, even if I had to do my makeup, I wouldn't actually look at myself. I would just look at the specific thing that I was working on, but I wasn't looking at myself. And one day I was just like, I just looked at myself in the mirror, and I really like saw myself for what I was in that moment, for who I was in that moment. And I just broke down. Like, I was like, this is not me. Like, what I see in the mirror right now is a person who does not love themselves. And that broke me, because I do love myself, and I do care about myself, and I do care about my well-being, and I want the best for myself, and I want the best for my life. And being, you know, like, it's like I've been in this spiritual journey throughout this time frame, you know, like knowing about law of attraction, knowing about energies, knowing about vibrating at different frequencies. And so for me to sit there and see myself and see a person who wasn't taking care of themselves, I just knew. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you are in such a low place right now, and you're never gonna manifest, you know, the things you want to manifest into your life, you know, your dream job, entrepreneurship, your dream partner. Like, you're not going to manifest any of these things, your dream apartment, when you're vibrating so low, and when you're hating yourself and you're hating your life and just not feeling good. So I hit my rock bottom. I had never seen a therapist before, and I ended up just, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't know how to seek for a therapist. Like, I didn't know how to do any of it. And so I just went to Kaiser one day. Like, I have insurance through Kaiser, and I went to, and like, if this lady ever sees this video, like, you are just heaven sent, such a dime, such an angel, because I was so afraid. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know who to call. I was just so overwhelmed. So I went into Kaiser to the front desk reception, and I just asked the first lady I saw, like, hey, how do I get help to see like a therapist? And I was like, my eyes were watering, my voice was cracking, and she was just so, like, the way she looked at me, she was just like, hey, yeah, like, just, it's okay, yeah, what are you looking for? Like, what kind of therapy? Like, what do you need? Where were you feeling maybe a little stuck? Like, she was just so loving and made me feel like it was okay for me to ask for help. Like, I will never forget this woman. If I ever see her, I'm gonna give her a big hug. If I look familiar to you, girl, and you recognize me, let me know. Like, this woman made me feel like I saw like a little glimmer of hope when I talked to her. And so she set everything up for me. She like gave me the information that I needed, how explained like how it all works, etc., etc. So then I made my first appointment and I started seeing my first therapist, and things started lighting up. This was the end of 2019. I started to feel like, okay, I'm seeing a therapist. I can start talking about my relationship with alcohol. Like, I can start talking about, you know, what I have been experiencing, and you know, why alcohol became a problem, and just, you know, unresolved emotions with my ex, because we broke up in 2018. I didn't deal with those feelings for a year and a half. I just repressed all of those feelings. I said, nope, I'm not going to deal with being sad. I was with this person for 3 years. I don't want to feel any of those emotions, you know. And eventually I had to, right? For me to move on, I had to work through those emotions. But I was proud of myself for starting therapy, because that is what basically allowed me to have an outlet to really talk about my relationship with alcohol and how it evolved over time, and all of these different things that contributed to me, you know, using it as an escape. And it allowed me to like form these new habits and healthier habits. It allowed me to create these tools that I could add to my toolbox as a way to cope when I'm feeling upset or stressed. And for a while that worked. Like, I did therapy for a year, and there was a point where I went 2 months without drinking. Like, over time I was feeling so confident, and after a year of, you know, having a therapist, I felt like I was good. I was like, okay, cool, I don't have a problem with drinking. I'm good. Like, I can go 2 months without drinking. And if, like, I've heard this story so many times now that, like, I feel like me and a lot of other people who are on this sober journey, and maybe even you, whoever's watching, we all have a similar story. Like, we've all shared something similar where we went a certain amount of time without drinking, and then we got confident. And that's what happened to me. Like, I was like, I don't have a problem. Like, I can control this. I'm good now. I can drink with my friends. I don't have to stop drinking. Like, I was so excited because I didn't want to let go of alcohol. I just did not want to let go of alcohol. Like, that was not going to happen. I was going to make sure it was not going to happen. I was going to do everything that I could do to still be able to be a drinker, to be able to have my drinks here and there. I was going to do everything that I could. And yeah, so I stopped seeing my therapist, and over time, so I stopped seeing her in 2020. So this was like towards the like summer of 2020, like after things started to kind of get like somewhat normal during the pandemic. And I was feeling good because during the pandemic, it's like everything was closed, and I actually used that time to continue working on myself. Like, got really into, you know, cooking vegan food. Like, I started to like transition into a plant-based diet, and then my spiritual journey just took off. Like, the more that I took care of my body, the more that I stayed away from alcohol, the more like plant-based foods, organic food that I was putting into my body, I was like, oh my God, like, I am feeling so centered. I'm feeling so grounded. I'm feeling so present and so aware of, you know, how certain things affect my body and what makes it feel good and what makes it feel bad. And I was just feeling so good, so present, and just loving myself, you know? And I got a little taste for it. I got a little taste for what sobriety would feel like, but that wasn't my goal. Sobriety was not my goal. I was just trying to learn how to be like an occasional drinker, a mindful drinker. And so as I was getting confident, as I was getting more confident in myself and my ability to moderate my drinking, I started drinking more and more and more. And it's just been this cycle the entire time. Like over time, you know, this was 2020. Between 2020 and 2021, slowly but surely, I started drinking just as much as I did in 2018, 2019, when I was drinking every day. And so I remember just sitting there and being like, damn, should I have not, you know, stopped seeing my therapist? Like, maybe I got overconfident. Maybe I thought that, you know, I had things under control, and I really never did, you know. And the more that I understand how alcohol affects you and impacts you, the more that it makes sense for me now, because it just, you get confident, but then when you start to reintroduce alcohol back into your life and into your system, it happens so fast. Everything happens so fast where you just want more, and you want more, and you want more, and you want more. And I do believe that if you get to a certain point in your alcohol journey, like that, moderation doesn't work. It works for some people, but I think it doesn't work for a lot of people, especially when you get to a certain point, or when you pass a certain threshold with your relationship with it and how much you've used it. I feel like abstinence is really the only thing that will work. And that's not for everybody. I'm just saying, like, for a lot of people, if you've gotten past that threshold and only you know, then I think abstinence is really the only way to kind of come back from it. And so, yeah, I was feeling like, damn, maybe I shouldn't have stopped seeing my therapist. Like, I am still struggling with alcohol, and this really sucks because I was making all this progress, and now I just feel like I don't feel connected to myself anymore. And again, I had, for that moment, there was like that 2-month period where I was eating plant-based, and I wasn't drinking, and I was working out, and I was meditating, and I was just feeling myself, right? So I have had that comparison the last like 3 years of me being on this up and down journey. I've had that comparison to be like, what do I like feeling like? Do I like feeling like that, or do I like feeling how I feel after I've drank? Which obviously I don't. I hate it. I fucking hate it. It's the worst feeling. It's the absolute worst feeling I've ever experienced in my life, and it continues to be anytime I choose to drink, you know. And so with that, I mean, I just really, between when I stopped seeing my therapist in 2020 up until 2023 of this year, it's just been an up and down battle. I've had moments where I don't want to drink. I've had moments where I do want to drink. And I really want to say the last like year and a half, I finally had this voice one day that I just heard this voice in the back of my head that said, would life be better if you were sober? And it was weird because you know how you have those thoughts, and like, you know when it's your voice and you know when it's not your voice? This wasn't my voice. It was a voice that just sounded outside of me, and now I know that it was source. It was my spirit guides telling me, putting that thought in my mind of like, what if you just entertain this real quick? What if you just entertain for a second what your life would look like if you were sober? You know, don't get worked up, but just entertain that thought. And so I would sit there and be like, what would it look like? I mean, okay, you know, playing with the thoughts, playing with the idea. So if I was sober, then I probably would have the body of my dreams, because I wouldn't be putting all that extra sugar and those empty calories in my system. I wouldn't be eating junk food. I wouldn't, you know, be putting my body in a position where it has to prioritize metabolizing, you know, or getting rid of the liquor over, you know, burning the fat. Like, I would definitely have the body of my dreams. I wouldn't be stuck kind of at this weight that I've been at for over a decade. Okay. What else? Probably would have better money. Like, I wouldn't be spending as much money on alcohol, wouldn't be spending as much money on Uber Eats, you know, and the list kept going. Like, I was like, I would probably attract, you know, the type of person that I want to attract, because I know that I want to be with somebody who is, you know, conscious of their health and cares about their body and well-being. And I know that because I'm not taking care of myself right now, that's why I continue to attract partners who are not taking care of themselves. And so if I remove alcohol, then I will probably manifest the right person, you know? And then I think the biggest thing of all is I knew that my spiritual journey would thrive, that I would thrive in my spiritual journey. By removing the alcohol, I knew that I would be a lot more connected to my higher self. I knew that I would be a lot more powerful. I'd be able to manifest things quicker. I'd be able to just be present in life. I'd be able to actually enjoy experiencing life and really feeling what it feels like to be alive, to be around my loved ones, to be, you know, in the gym, to just really be present. Like, I knew that I would get to feel those things and actually feel them, if that makes sense, instead of me showing up to things just numbing myself and not really being there. So I knew that, you know, by removing alcohol, that simply everything would just improve. But it scared me. Like, entertaining those thoughts would scare me because I knew that it meant that I would be letting go of a big part of myself. I knew that it meant that I would be, that it would be a bold move for me to make, that it wouldn't be easy, that it was definitely going to be difficult, that it meant that, I was going to have to pretty much choose myself every single time, in essence. Like, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to just take the easy way out anymore. By saying no to alcohol, that meant that I would have to actually deal with my feelings, my unresolved emotions from a lot of what I have experienced with relationships, with people, childhood wounds, and all that. Like, I just knew that those things were going to come up. And so I kind of avoided, making that move for a while, even though, like, as soon as I started entertaining the idea of being sober, I felt like I knew that that's what it was going to be. Like with time, I just started to kind of have this feeling of like, I think that this is my higher self trying to tell me that this is the move that I'm supposed to make. And so I would ignore it though, because I was like, I don't want to do this yet. Like, I don't want to have to be sober yet. Like, I know that it's probably the right decision. It's the right thing for me to do, but like, I don't want to have to do this yet. Like, I still want to enjoy myself, and the biggest thing was that at the time that I started having those thoughts and those questions of like, would my life be better? At that point in time, I was 25 years old. And that was another thing that also scared me, to sit there and feel like, wow, I'm 25 years old and like, I'm here entertaining the thought of never being able to have a drink again. Like, what am I supposed to do when I take trips? Like, what am I supposed to do on dates? Like, on first dates, when you're getting to know someone, what am I supposed to do? Like, when I'm at family events, like, I don't want to have to explain myself to people that I can't drink. I don't want to have to explain myself at all. Like, and then I would think, what are people going to think, which it doesn't matter, but that's what I was putting myself through. And the biggest thing of all that I was really troubled by was myself. Like, I was telling myself, I was being negative, like, wow, did I really ruin it for myself? Like, did I really ruin drinking to the point where like I can never have a drink again? Just kind of being negative about it, and I understand where my feelings came from, and I do feel like I had to process those feelings the way that I did, because in the moment, it did kind of suck to even feel like the possibility, like that was going to be a possibility, that like I could never drink again, so I just avoided it at all costs. I said, you know what, I'm just not going to deal with this right now. I'm going to just try one more time. I'm going to just try to prove to myself that I really can have a healthy relationship with alcohol. I'm going to do my best to like control it. And something that you realize in this journey when drinking is a problem for you is that anytime you try to control your drinking has controlled you. If you have to control how much you drink, if you have to control when you drink or how you drink or who you're drinking with, if you have to control it in any way, shape, or form, your drinking has already controlled you. And I was controlled by my drinking. The fact that I was so obsessed over it, I was trying to like make it work so bad. I was counting drinks. I was just measuring how often I would drink and how I wouldn't, and the quantity and and this and that. Like, I was obsessed with alcohol. Like, even when I wasn't drinking, I was still obsessed with alcohol because it was always on my mind. And sometimes the thoughts would be along the lines of like, oh, I can't wait to drink again. And other times it would be like, wow, I'm so glad that like I didn't drink for a whole week. That means that I don't have a problem. Like, I was constantly in one way or another drinking about alcohol, which just continued to prove to me that I had a problem with it and that it was not a healthy relationship. And so I knew that it wasn't good for me. Like, I knew, like, I didn't want to have to accept it, but I knew deep down that like that my life just meant more to me and that I deserved better. But it sucked for a while, and because it sucked, I just, I knew that it was going to be a lot. I knew that it was going to be, a rough journey, and that like it was going to take a lot for me to actually love myself enough to put the drinking behind me. And I just kept putting it off. Like, really, the last year has been me putting it off and me just finding excuses, saying like, I'll start tomorrow, I'll wait until tomorrow, I'll wait until next week, or I'll wait until after my trip to Miami, or I'll wait until after this event or this wedding. Like, I just want to enjoy it one last time. And I just got to the point where there's never a good time. That's the thing. Like, there's never gonna be a good time, which is also something that bothered me for a while, because it was like, I'm not even gonna be able to like actually enjoy my final moments with it. It's just gonna be something that I'm gonna have to just do, and I'm gonna start having to address some of the feelings that I have within and some of the things that caused me to drink in the first place. And I just knew that there was not gonna be like this smooth transition. It was just gonna be me having to stop drinking out of love and respect for myself, and being open to and willing to deal with what was gonna come up as a result of it. And so yeah, that's pretty much just been my journey. I mean, I feel like I can go a lot more into it, but I'm ready. I think I'm like 40 minutes into me just sharing my story of kind of like what it's taken. But really, like, the last drink that I had was 44 days ago from the day that I'm recording this video. And I just was like, honestly, I mean, I really had to look at myself in the mirror like, girl, there's never gonna be a good time, and you know that it's now or never. You know you're not happy, you know you're not really happy with the way that, you know, your body looks right now. And it's not to say my body isn't beautiful. My body is beautiful, but I know that I could be taking a lot better of it. And when I see myself in the mirror now, it's a lot more positive than it was 44 days ago. But even 44 days ago, what I saw was not a person who was deeply loving themselves. And that is what bothered me the most. And so I just knew that if I wanted to have a better relationship with my body, if I wanted to start attracting, you know, the dream job, the dream life, the dream partner, that I was gonna have to remove alcohol, because ultimately all it's ever done is lower my vibration. All it's done is kept me in a state of guilt. And if it wasn't guilt, it was shame. And if it wasn't shame, it was disappointment. If it wasn't that, it was probably fear. Like, it's just kept me in these lower level vibrations, and just truly been my biggest blocking for my blessings. And I just refuse to live the rest of my life that way. I mean, that's really what it is. And a big part of it is acceptance as well. Like, I got to the point where I said, you know what, I accept a sober life. It doesn't have to suck anymore. It doesn't have to be sad anymore. It doesn't have to be something that I dread. Like, yes, it is a little scary to think about never having a drink again, and I avoid thinking about that in that way. I'm just saying one day at a time, even though I know sobriety is the way to go and I know what I'm doing. But like, I've realized, and I'm honoring this within myself, that I don't like to say, oh, I can't ever do this again, because that doesn't feel empowering. It doesn't feel liberating or any of that. So I'm learning kind of what feels good to me and what makes me happy. And yeah, just realizing that I deserve a lot more than I'm giving myself, and it's really ultimately up to me. I'm the one that is in charge of my life. I am the creator of my life. It's not up to anybody else. And I decide to love myself, and I decide to choose more for myself and choose better for myself and hold myself accountable. And that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. It's one of the reasons why I just posted on my Instagram about, you know, being on this sober journey. It's one of the reasons why I've been telling people, I've been telling my family, because I accept a life without alcohol, and I am not ashamed anymore of my journey with it. It was a part of my journey, and I do deeply believe that I needed to experience going through this, because this is going to end up being one of my purposes in life. In one way or another, I just know that my experience with alcohol is going to be meaningful and purposeful and help somebody. And so in order to help others, which is what I want to do, I first need to help myself, and that's what I'm doing. So yeah, that's pretty much been my journey leading up to quitting drinking. I think the biggest thing I would say is that you have to do it for you. I had my phases and my moments where I wanted to do it for somebody else, but ultimately the biggest reason that you ever do anything, it should be out of a love and respect for yourself. And that is what is ultimately helping me. That's, you know, I'm on day 44, but I'm still proud of it. For some people that might be not a lot of days, but for me, I'm really proud of myself, and I feel great. I'm not feeling bad. I'm not feeling like I'm missing out on anything. Like, we just had a family party, and I was probably the only person who, I didn't see anyone else that wasn't drinking. Everyone else was drinking, and I did not feel like I was missing out on anything. I was feeling so good at that party. I knew I was gonna wake up feeling, you know, I wasn't gonna have a hangover. I was gonna have the energy to go to the gym. I was gonna be feeling good, and I did. I sure did. And that was just such a good reminder for me of why I'm on this journey. You know, waking up feeling good, feeling connected to myself, feeling connected to my ancestors, my spirit guides. That's another video that I want to create. the connection that I'm having with what's happening around me, with the universe, with my angels, with my higher self has just been on a whole other level, And so I know that was a lot, and I'm gonna actually transition into, to summarize this video, I guess, my main reasons for why I quit drinking alcohol. And I'm gonna have the little, I don't know what they are, the little cards to kind of like divide this up, but I wrote down pretty much like 7 different reasons. I mean, the list it's more than just 7, but like my biggest ones in no particular order is so that I could look out for my body. I feel like by removing, or I know that by removing alcohol, I'm in a better position to take care of myself. I can now, focus on putting nutritious foods in my body. I don't have to like worry about having like the drunk munchies and wanting to just order crap and eat crap. Like I can truly just look out for my body, knowing that I'm putting good things into it, knowing that I'm not putting this like actual poison inside of my body. And so my biggest thing is now I feel like I can have the relationship I've always wanted to have with my body, because in the past I just felt so conflicted. Like half of the time I'm eating right, I'm eating good, I'm eating healthy. The other time I'm drinking, I'm eating junk, I'm feeling like shit, my body doesn't have energy. Like it was just, I always just felt so conflicted with my body. And so now I can just take care of it and look out for it. And it's a really good feeling. And so the second reason why I decided it was time to stop is because I needed to improve my mental health. I am a really positive person. I think anyone that knows me would say, if they could describe me in one word, the word that would probably come up is like optimistic, positive, enthusiastic. And alcohol did take that away from me. Like I would find myself being really negative at certain times in my life. I would find myself just even experiencing anxiety, which is something that started to get really bad towards the end of like my alcohol journey, but like not feeling like myself, feeling like I couldn't get anything done, feeling stuck and feeling depressed because of it. Like I really don't like feeling like I wasted a whole day, and I would find myself constantly wasting days, like because I'd be so hungover, I'd be too sick to do anything. And so one of my biggest reasons is because I just wanted to improve my mental health and feel good about myself, feel good about what I'm doing with my time, feel good about, how I'm being productive and what I'm getting done and all that stuff. And another reason why I came to, this position where I'm at of quitting drinking is because I wanted to improve the quality of my life. Like I want to live as long as I can. If I can live to be 100 plus, baby, bet. Like that's what I want to do. And I want it to be good. I want my last years to be amazing years. I don't want to just live to 100, but have the last decade of that me being sick, me being in a nursing home, me always having to visit the hospital. And I know that what I'm doing now adds up. All of what I'm doing right now, what I'm doing today, what I do tomorrow, what I do the day after for my well-being adds up. And it's my duty and my job to take care of my body. And I want to take care of my body because I want to live a long life. I want to live a good life. I want to be in the gym. I want to be 100 years old in the gym. I want to be doing marathons. I want to be feeling good, okay? So that is one of my main reasons for quitting drinking. My fourth reason is, and this is probably my most important reason. I know that I have my list in no particular order, but this is my number one reason, is because I wanted to stop hindering my spiritual growth. I knew that by drinking, I was constantly in a lower vibration, and by being in a lower vibration, I was having a hard time connecting with myself, with my spirit guides, with my angels, with my ancestors. I felt completely lost. I had no purpose. I felt like I had no guidance. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing with my life or myself. I just felt so low. I felt disconnected. I didn't even feel like I was in my own body. Like there would be times where I would look at myself in the mirror and I'd just be like, I don't know who this person is. And that's not a good feeling to have, right? Like you've sat with yourself in your body your whole life, and to look at yourself in the mirror and not recognize who that person is, like that is such a disconnection. And I hated that feeling. So my biggest reason was I just wanted to connect back with my higher self. I wanted to connect with my guides. I wanted to connect with the universe, with the earth, and be present and know exactly why I came here, know exactly what my purpose is, what my mission is, and honestly just be happy with who I was as I was, if that makes sense. So that's my biggest reason. So reason number 5, I wanted to improve my money situation. I was spending quite a bit, every week on the bottles, the food, the Uber Eats, the going out, the lifts from going out. Like, I just knew that I could be in a better place financially. And so quitting alcohol is just, another pro, because it's just more money in my pocket, and that's more money that I can use on trips, on traveling, which is something I love doing. So reason number 6 is because I wanted to improve my relationships. I would feel so guilty when I'd be drinking and be around my family, because I would just feel like I wasn't being present with them. I'd feel like I'm kind of just there, but I'm not really there. I'm not really enjoying my nephews. I'm not really enjoying my niece, my parents, and I didn't like that feeling. That's another thing. Like, I love my family. I love being around my family. And so to sit there and feel like, oh my gosh, like, I hung out with them all day yesterday, but I don't even remember what we talked about. Like, that would be just such a shitty feeling for me. So that's just another reason why I just want to be present with my loved ones. I want to be present in life. I want to have the best relationships. I want to attract the best partner. I want to attract somebody who loves themselves. And that was the thing that came with this reason of improving my relationships, because I also wanted to improve the relationship I had with myself. And I knew that by removing alcohol and loving myself, because that's the most loving thing I could do, is removing it, that I would then start attracting better relationships just regardless, naturally, with people that I currently already know and have in my life, and with new people. And even though I'm on day 44, I would say that this is probably the biggest thing that I've manifested up to date, is the people that are just showing up in my life right now, people who love me, people who are supporting me on this journey, people who are also in it themselves, like having my community of sober people. And so this is something that I've seen just manifest like that, and it's been such a good feeling. And then the final reason that I have, at least for today, maybe I'll make another video with more reasons, is that I want to be the person that I'm supposed to be. And I feel like this does connect with me, wanting to stop hindering my spiritual growth journey. But I've always known that deep down, I am a person who loves health. I am a person who loves like spirituality. I'm a person who loves taking care of your body. I'm a person who loves positivity. And there's just so many things I'm learning about myself. And I felt like when I was drinking, I wasn't being who I really am. And I knew that by removing alcohol, I was going to give myself the opportunity to just blossom and be the person that I'm meant to be, the person that I already am, but that I'm hiding behind the liquor. I wanted to give her the space to shine, to come out and play, to show the world who she really is. So those are my main reasons. That ended up being really long. It's probably like an hour-long video, but yeah, I would like to do an update maybe on day 60 or day 100. Maybe I'll do day 100, because the longest I went sober was about 2.5 months. So I'm gonna get to day 100 and I will make an update video on how I'm feeling, maybe changes that I'm noticing within myself and the world around me with my sobriety. So that is all that I have. If you stuck around this long, thank you. If you resonated with this video, please like the video, please share the video with someone who maybe is on a similar journey or you think could value from watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel and I will see you in the next one. Bye.